and welcome once again to China for the World Cup Final 2019. We're in the Nanhai TV and Movie Town today, where in just under 15 minutes we will have the start of the sprint relay competition. This is the last event of 4 in the Relay World Cup, and Sweden currently 3 out of 3 on the relay titles. They are favourites today, arguably, with Switzerland for the title, having won the sprint relay with exactly the same team back in Finland at the beginning of the season. And our location today is a pretty special one. This whole complex has been built up for the purpose of shooting films and television programs. You can see some of it just here on the picture. It may look old, it really isn't. It's all been built for the purposes of filming and also tourism. There's lots of shows and performances, entertainment going on here. It's a whole mixture of all different types of old buildings and some more forested parts as well, some entertainment parts. And I think it's something really special to be orienteering around, even compared to some of the terrain we've seen previously in previous events in China, previous sprint events in China. Well, there are some spectator races going on alongside the competition. They'll be going on afterwards, so we do have some spectators here today. They are at the moment all trying to shelter in the shade, because I can tell you it is warm here, especially in the sun. We didn't really have much sun yesterday, but now I was going to say direct sunshine, but it's not quite direct sunshine. There's a little bit too much smog for that, but it really is very warm. But shouldn't bother the athletes too much. They've been out here for a fair while getting used to the conditions, and it's of course a short courses today for the sprints, so that will get underway in about 13 or so minutes. These are one of the 5 dragon bridges in this part of the TV town that kind of looks like a bit like the Forbidden City, and that's where they will be orienteering in the next hour or so. So these are the team standings of the Relay World Cup. You can see Sweden there with 300 points. That's 100 points from everything after winning the sprint relay in Finland and the 2 relays at the World Championships, the men's and the women's relay at the World Championships in Norway. Switzerland are second, those 100 points behind. So in theory, if all the Swedish teams get disqualified and if Switzerland win, then they could be tied on the same points, but unlikely one, methinks, with especially with 4 teams entered from four nations have 4 teams entered here. You can see the conditions. It's warm, it's 28 degrees, and I think it's a bit warm for spectating or hanging around today. And hopefully there'll be some people who'll be cheering on the athletes and the teams as they will get underway. Of course, as usual, it will be 4 runners, women, men, and then women. They will take to the course, and often we've seen some of the women's legs be the most decisive ones there. Jonas, what have you made of this terrain after running on it earlier today?
Yeah, we will see different parts of the map. We'll have some route choices, parts with longer route choices, where once you have decided your route, there's a big physical aspect coming in, where you can run a lot on the street executing it. Then we get into a part where we have very many decisions within a short period of time. Only 3 or 4 controls. It's forked there as well, so you have to be very careful. And then we have an arena passage, and we will have another physical part, I would call it, in the end again. But we will see the map very soon. I think it's a good area for a sprint relay, especially this tricky part in the middle, where we had this, like the Chinese Venice, which is built here, a water city. Here we have the map, so it's probably best to talk you through here. We start with a route choice, and here we have now the options for both the men and the women's course. So the men's control are the one more to the east, those two, and the women's controls are those closer to the water. And then we go first time in this bit more tricky area there, but still no controls, which are very difficult. It's more park orienteering here in the beginning. And then from here, from this point, there are many decisions to take, and also it is forked there. So you have to be very careful as a runner at this point. Often it's the case that if you have another forking, you also have to take another route, which is quite good, because then if you follow the others, you will lose time. This is the arena passage, and then 15, 16, another long leg. It's the second time the route choice is around the hill here, either left or right, and then in the very end. It's quite a fast part here in this park. This is very typical sprint orienteering, so I don't think it will be, we will see any bigger problems there, and then we go back into the finish. So there is a difference between the women's and men's course. There's a small loop there in the southwest, which the women won't run. Otherwise, it's quite a similar course here with some forkings, of course.
So yeah, you can see the difference there between legs 1 and 4, the women's legs, and legs 2 and 3, the men's. And there's only one change to the original start list, which is Natalia Gempeler will not be running for the Russian team. She is not feeling very well. She's sick. So there will be a replacement for that team. For the other ones, it's kind of what we expect, with only a few, amongst the top teams, a few changes compared to the Helsinki ones, but this is what some of the terrain looks like outside of this arena, and it is quite a mixture. Although this part in the arena, there's these big squares that allow us to have the situation of the run through and everything like that. So let's have a look at these route choices once more.
Yes, this is the women's route choice here. We have both the blue and the red option, and we see the two different options in the route choice. So you can either go left or right, and the good thing with this route here is if you have to control more to the left, you should also round the hill to the left and not to the right. So you will lose time if you decide for the wrong route there. Second route choice here, also this is the blue one, actually is quite a special passage, because it's very improvised, and well, it's you have to be careful there when you're running.
But the red one was shorter.
Yeah, so you should go for the red one. It's here in the women's loop, or on the women's course, and this is the second time the left one, the blue one, is the shorter one here. It's a bit more tricky to execute though, because you have to find the way out of these walls. And here we see some parts. Now we're still outside in this park, and very soon we'll get into the tricky part in this almost a temple or whatever it is. So we will see the change here. There are a lot of stairs. So now we turn around here.
Yeah, lots of small
obstacles. As you can see, you have to be careful running up here. And those stairs, there are many stairs everywhere, so you have to plan your map reading. Otherwise, it will be easy to... Yeah, we can maybe see some problems taking the stairs otherwise. Yes, there. So you have to be careful. You can't read the map everywhere. You can plan that and beforehand, especially in this part, there are many stairs coming. And the forkings will be the difficulty here, because of course you have to find your way to the control. You can't run everywhere. Sometimes there's a dead end if you try to run in some parts of the course or of the map. But the difficulty really is not to follow with the other runners to the wrong forking, or you won't run to the wrong forking, but on the follow them to the wrong route at least.
This is the men's course.
Yes, second time, and we see the distance is quite similar.
But once again, like the women's, if you have the one to the right, you should go the right, and one
exactly.
to the, and this is more obvious, I think, for the men's which way you should go.
Yes, I would say so. And it's quite tricky there in the forest as well. I mean, you have not very much time to get used to this forest running in sprint. They were running yesterday, it was bushy there, and then you come here, it's quite good runnability, and you have no feeling for the distance, and that's always a tricky part, so you have to be careful.
Yeah, and this one, that control was the same as on the women's, those two choices, left or right, again round the hill.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like in this very end of the course, in this park area. See here, it's, I mean, the orienteering here is not very difficult. You can see the features. I don't expect them to have any problems here, but again, there are 4 kings, you're tired, but still, this is doable. This is sprint orienteering as everyone is used to. So.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to cause too many problems. And if you've taken the route choice to the right, if you've approached the first control that you punched, then you'll have been through that area twice as well, so even more familiar with it. But yeah, it's pretty simple, not really any dead ends and anything like that. So just got about 3 minutes left to the start, and all our first leg athletes are warming up. We've got 49 teams on the start list, as you can see there, with 4 nations, Sweden, Switzerland, Norway and China holding 4 teams. So that's we very well be talking about Sweden and Switzerland 2 or even 3 or on the in the results as well. So as we know, our favourites Sweden and Switzerland. Who also would you think has a good chance of getting on the top 3?
I mean, if we look back on the last season and this season, we had 4 races and we had 3 teams that have always been in the top 5, and that's Switzerland, Sweden, who have won all the races, one of the teams, so 2-2 in the standings there, and then you also had the Czech Republic, which has been up there in every race, and I would say those are the favorites even today. Something interesting between what differs the different teams is that if you look at the teams and the runners they used in these 4 competitions before, we had Switzerland with 10 different runners in the first team, and Sweden had 6 runners, and the Czech Republic, they had only 5 runners for those 4 different competitions. So many changes in the Swiss team and almost no change in the Czech team. So I think that's an interesting fact, and also to see who of the runner that have been there all the time. Switzerland, for example, Matthias Kiburtz just ran it once. Joey Hadon, who is running today, has never been running in the first team before. So that's, I think that's interesting.
Yeah, definitely interesting. I mean, just shows how many runners they have to choose from and how many are at such a high level.
But also that you have the given specialists in other countries, like in Sweden you had Jonas Leandersson, who was given and a very good runner in the sprint relay, and you also have Emil Svensk, who is maybe the best runner on the second leg we have seen in the sprint relay during all the years. And then, of course, now when Tove Alexandersson decided to also run the sprint relay, she's quite given there as well. So you have more of these given names than you have in Switzerland.
Yeah, so just having a look here at the front line of the lineup at the start. So in Abersold to take out the Swiss team, and Tove Alexandersson to take out the Swedish team. We've seen already a lot of battles between Simone Abersold and Tove Alexandersson, as we saw in the middle distance race at the World Championships, also in the relay as well at those World Championships. So 2 exciting winners to begin that campaign.
And I think it's a tactical decision from Switzerland to have Abersold on the first leg. They know that Alexandersson will run it for Sweden, and you don't want to let a gap open there already in the first leg, so I think that's a good decision and a tactical one.
So now, there we go. The start of this mixed sprint relay. 49 teams heading out there immediately. And my guess is we will see them leave this arena, leave this square, and the one at the lead will make the decision. And Tove Alexandersson is up there, so too the athlete from China, Simone Abasol too, and they've chosen to go right. But we can't see how many behind have chosen to go the same way. It looks like a lot.
And I mean, this here you have to be ready. You take up the map and you have to make a decision within 100 meters. I mean, we shouldn't forget that first of all, you turn the map, you have to find the starting point, you have to get the overview over the map, and then you have maybe only 50 meters left to decide. And then you really have to be cool, maybe slow down a bit and make your decision. I think it will pay off.
So they've chosen, they're kind of going a little bit uphill. It's a bit more gentle. If they'd turned left out of the gate, then it would have been a bit more steep on the uphill. But we can see Alexandersson at the front. So too Simone Abasol, and for the Chinese team, it is Jia Zheng who has taken the lead. They've got Shuangyin Hao on the last leg. She was 11th in the middle distance yesterday, and a very, very quick runner, so that would be interesting. I was maybe hoping to get her on the first leg and see how she would match up against the likes of Alexandersson and Abasol. So you can see that they've all taken that same route, which to me is really not a surprise.
I mean, it's not a surprise that everyone is taking the same, but it's kind of a surprise that I mean, we have seen if you have the left control, it's actually 20 meters shorter than the right one, so it's...
Yeah, but I think at that point nobody's gonna.
No, but it could have been
risk.
that if the leader, the first women in the group, had the left control, then you would maybe have the whole field going to the left.
Yeah, well, you can see Sweden, Russia.
Switzerland had B as well.
Oh,
I
no,
think.
hang on, Sweden too. Oh, so some did go round the other way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we just didn't see them on the GPS tracking.
But that's a good decision.
Yeah.
If you have the A control, of course.
And then they start to get more towards the complicated section with different areas of like different fake old Chinese buildings. That's the idea as
Very
they
soon
on the
we come
island.
into this water city, the Chinese Venice.
Yeah, that's this part, and really a lot of steps you can see as well. So they'll
Sleeping volunteer there as well.
so they come through here. This is control number 2. And see, we've got the different views there. Alexandersson punching first for Sweden. Victoria Hestad Bjernstad for the first Norwegian team has punched second, then Simone Abasol. And as you can see now, all the teams coming through thick and fast. But I think we saw some different routes for out of that control towards control number 3. And they will pass by the buildings. So I think that was the Swiss Simone Abasol choosing that different route. As you can see, there are forked controls there, so maybe that paying off for her. And then they go into this forest section, which is, I mean, pretty simple for running and easy.
And then we have the 5th control, and after this 5th control, I expect it to get more. It become more in like different groups, that they group up together, because the situation will get more nervous there. You have forkings, you have many decisions to take, and I expect the field to split there a little bit.
Yeah, it can be hard to see all the detail on this map, especially when you're running at speed, to see exactly what is going where and which bits you're allowed to cross, which bits you aren't allowed to cross. And this, yeah, these go down these steps, and then taking round. So that's over Alexanderson here for the first Swedish team, and back in the pack currently. And I don't think we can tell at the moment whether that's due to the forking being different. And also we have Abersold there too, just going up the ramp, going up the slope here. And now you can see the runners split up again on these two different forked controls. And now they have to make that decision. They could go down the stairs to the left, or they could go up again to the right. And lots of hesitations there, standing still to make sure you get exactly where you're going. You don't go to any dead ends or anything like that.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I mean, there are many runners there. The situation gets nervous. It's easy to follow some of the runners for some meters, and then just to notice that actually that's a dead end coming if I continue here, or the route is just much slower I'm about to take. So then it's better to actually just stop and relocate and read the map carefully. And here to the next control, you have to be careful. You have to take the stairs up to that building. I think we see some of the runners do a mistake here.
Yeah, my feeling is you should run to the left. You should run where Tove Alexanderson is going.
Yeah.
She's got the best one. You have to go up these stairs here, and then, well, there are two options there, but I feel like this one's the better of the two. You can kind of overshoot the control, getting approached from the opposite direction as you. So the control is just past there, and some people will be approaching it from the other side based on the routes they've gone. As you can see, Alexanderson just punching the control there, followed by Abersold. So yeah, this is where we can see that they've split up on these routes to control 8, and it's hard to get your head around the fact that you can't get up to the west of the building. You have to go all the way around to the stairs and then back up again. But once you've figured that out to control 8, then you know what the situation is to get to control 9, obviously. So it's kind of the same problem for both of the controls.
A good start for Norway, for the first team there.
Possibly a mistake, I think, from... no, it's really hard to tell with the tracking. Oh no, she's just choosing the different route choice there. And in fact, both those two runners with the same to get to control number 9. And here it is, and at the same time as Norwegian, Hisse Bjørnstad, I do believe. And these three teams actually look like they're pretty clear now. That's quite a considerable gap as they head down the hill towards control number 10. Next is another of the Norwegian teams. I think that was Silje Kroljaeren there running down for Norway 2. And you can also see where the Czech team is.
It's quite a gap already. Know that the strongest runners for the Czech team will be on the 3rd and the 4th leg, Wojciech Kral and Teresa Janosikova.
So now we're going to see them through the arena. 3 teams here. Sweden, Switzerland and Norway, with the youngster, still a junior I do believe, or just at the end of her junior career, Victoria Hisse Bjørnstad, on the first leg for the Norwegian team. She will hand over to Gaute Halmsteba on the 2nd leg, and after 8.5 minutes of running, that's the gap. Silje Kroljaeren for the 2nd Norwegian team is only 8 seconds behind, and then we've got a gap, another 4 here, another 5 with the Chinese team there too, as well as a couple of the mixed teams. Now we get Switzerland 3 and 2. The Czech team there back in 12th place with Kosovo.
The gap is 26 seconds for the Czech team.
The first Finnish team down there in 21st, as well as the French team in 22nd. And then again, another long run out here to this next control.
Here at control 12, you have to be careful. So you take the steps up 1 level, and then you're between the 2 levels there to punch the control. So you have to read the control description carefully.
And then again, this route choice, you can see the shorter option is the blue one.
Good decision here. So let's see. It might be the case that the other runners there behind, they don't see the runners in the top.
But it makes sense for those three in the lead not to take any risks at that point, to stick with the other runner. If you want to take risks, it's on the last leg. But at this point, you just need to get your team, you know, around the course.
Well, of course, but they're not sure if it's forked, so they will still be reading the map carefully and try to do their own decision. But I mean, in a situation like this, where it's hard to see which option that's the faster one, it's quite naturally that they stick together. But now they are splitting up the teams behind. That's what I said. I don't think they've seen the runners in the top, so this opens for sure up to take another route here. And we see that the second Norwegian team, Silje Ekrol Jaren, is taking this route more to the east.
So she was about 8 seconds behind that group of three. So we'll see if that makes much of a difference when we get to control 13. It's going to be hard to tell how much is lost through the route choice and how much is lost through the speed and the running. And you can see that in the leading group, it looks like Alexandersson's managing to stretch out a bit of a lead, got a bit of a gap over Switzerland and Norway. And now I'm surprised which way. Oh no, they're kind of cutting through the.
Yeah, but still it's a bit surprising.
There's Sweden, and they're so 5 seconds behind Switzerland, and Norway 9 seconds behind. So let's see what the gap is down to Norway too, and that other route choice that was being made. It was 8.
Yeah, and now it's 20, so she lost 12 seconds. And the route choice.
Well, it's hard to tell how much is the route choice and how much.
Well, for sure, I think she wouldn't lose 12 seconds there just physically. She lost 8 seconds before on the first half of the course, so definitely slower one.
12th place Russian team. No Gempler in their team today. She's ill, she's sick, so being replaced. And now more than a minute back for these teams. And this last section is really where you start to see the difference between the good runners and the really good runners. And here's one of those really good runners, Tove Alexandersson. Here is the second to last control, and all she has to do now is get back into this arena, and she will be handing over to experienced second leg runner Emil Svensker. Chasing behind her, a good shout for Simona Abersold, who's solid second place. And where's the Norwegian? There she is.
It's a very good start for the Norwegian team. With this, I mean, it's tough to run together with those, maybe the best two runners in the women's field at the start line today. And she managed to, I would say, I mean, they're almost together here, more or less. They will at least see the decisions, or almost see the decisions from the teams in the lead. So that was a very good start for Norway. Let's see, especially the gap down to the Czech team, Denisa Kosova.
17 seconds behind. In first box, Silje Ekrol Jaren to Alden Heimdal.
So Norway 1, Norway 2, then the mixed team in there, 23 seconds down. Switzerland 3 and 2, both handing over now. We're looking out for the Czech team though. They've got their, probably I'd say, their weakest runner on the first leg, so we need to see how far they are behind.
46 seconds.
So Denisa Kosova handing over to Milos Nikodim, the first Chinese team in 16th place there too.
One of the big teams in this spring play, but 48 seconds behind for Denisa Kosova.
The Danish team also through the changeover.
1 minute and 3 seconds behind for Denmark. And many teams,
very, very quick course, just under 13 minutes, I think, just over 13 minutes on that one. Now, let's have a look. And it seems to me, I think there is a wrong route to go here, and I think you can see both the Norwegian first team and the Swedish first team taking the wrong route choice
But
to that
also
one,
the
but also the first Swiss team taking the wrong route choice. So those top 3 teams all taking the wrong route choice to the first control.
Well, let's say then it doesn't really matter. I mean, they will lose about the same amount of time. So status quo for this 3 teams there in the lead, but of course it's a chance for the Swiss third team there. And now we can see here, it is, let's put it that way, the path to the right down is not very distinct. It would have been to the right there, actually. So you see, yeah.
There's the control, the path down.
But of course, not sure which control Kibbutz had there.
He had...
Yeah, he would have had needed to punch
The
this one. Here we have
yeah.
him again.
And this is the route that's not across the bridge. This is what you were talking about earlier. It's quite rough and a lot of construction going on, and you've got to be, as you can see, pretty careful to go around there and get to control number 2, as you can see them doing there. Swedish team, Emil Svensk, he's gone the other routes, but yeah, certainly. And also, I think we saw the Czech team going not the ideal way as well in some of the following teams. But Emil Svensk, he is there, and he is now, I think, gained even more time. He really is good at attacking the beginning of this course, and we can't see anybody else.
No, but I mean, we have seen a mistake there by Matthias Kibbutz in the beginning. He missed this path leading to the control, so he definitely lost some 10 seconds there.
So now 25 and 27 seconds behind. And that gap has grown from only a few seconds less than 10 seconds to now being the 27. And these are the chasing group. These are the chasing groups. Auden Heimdall from Norway 2 punching that in 4th place. Tobias Pizzati in for Switzerland 3 again. Mixed teams there too. Let's have a look. The Russian team climbing up to 10th.
Here we see it in the replay. And take a look now at the Swiss team. I'm quite sure it will miss the small path there down to control B. So we see that Sweden, the first team, they picked the good route. We didn't really see it there. Emil Svensk picked the right route there. At least if the graphic was correct.
I have a feeling the graphic was not correct, and it was the other one to what we thought. So we thought they'd all gone wrong, and in fact they'd all picked correctly. I have a feeling that's what's gone on. Otherwise, that looks like, yeah, looks like it would be wrong. Gaute Hallensteva there, and Matthias Kibbutz, 2nd and 3rd place at the Rock. And remember, this men's course is a little bit longer than the women's. They have this extra loop around here. I think this is Auden Heimdall for the 2nd Norwegian team. Yes, Silje Ekroljaren handed over to Heimdall for the 2nd part. We also have the Swiss, well, I think that was about 3 Swiss teams in a row, to be honest, as they head over this bridge again for, so that was the 6th control we just saw there. And now looking on the GPS, you can see that something of a lead for Emil Svensk. Just losing the GPS a little bit there. So it's hard to see exactly what the lead is when they're not all live. Now we've got them.
My feeling is that it was a good route there by Norway and Switzerland. But still the gap is quite big. It's about half a minute. So we have different forkings now waiting than in the women's race.
These teams in second and third. And I feel like the Norwegians managing to stretch this out, and Mathias Kiberts is having to work hard to catch up. There are some forkings in this section, so we'll see if they are going to split up. And hurdling some of these obstacles, the benches and everything, and around this palace section. Let's have a look and see where the chasers are. This is into 4th, 5th, 6th, and much bigger group here. And Russia, I think, have really managed to climb some places. Artem Popov on the second leg for the Russian team.
There we see the route chosen by Emil Svensk. You could go up the stairs here. Gaute Hallenstaver is taking, and I think that's some 1 or 2 seconds faster, but it's not a very big difference there.
Now you can see the two of them. I believe that, and yeah, I feel like Mathias Kiberts is kind of dropping off the pace of the Norwegian, as now again they move to the next couple of controls.
And here we see that on one option, on the G option, you have one control more here in between. It is to compensate the faster control earlier in the race.
And here is the leader, M. Svensk, and he will take it easy on this, punch this control, good simple route. I mean, it's quite a, I think that's route choice.
Take it easy on a high level.
But that route choice is like a bit more simple. I think you can, it's not as complicated to execute. But then really this is the most, I say, of the more technical orienteering done at this point of the course. And a lot of it now is really about the running speed and being able to, yes, make that the correct route choice out of the arena passage, but you've really got to be able to attack this course, have something left in the tank, and really manage to pace this sprint very, very well. So Emil Svensk now here into the arena for the arena passage. And it's a healthy lead. You can see here's second place. Here's Gaute Hallenstaver and Mathias Kiberts into third.
But they are definitely closer now, I would say. It was 25 and 27 seconds before. Now it's 15 and 19. Of course, it can be due to some forkings, but I think that all the runners, they came a bit closer here again.
And France too doing well, with Maxime Retourrier on the second leg after Maël Beauvais started them out on the first leg for that second French team. The first Finnish team has managed to move up into 10th. China is in 11th place. Andreas Kiberts is on the second Swiss team. In Czech Republic, 50 seconds behind. So dropping 4 seconds compared to the changeover. And they were in 14th, so too much change, but don't forget they've got some fast runners to finish off.
And here we also know that the route to the left is some meters shorter. We have seen that on the first leg that Silje Kroliaren, she lost some seconds here, a few seconds on the red route choice.
So it's looking good again for the Norwegian team who are choosing that one, Gaute Hallensteva, it looks like, as both Sweden and Switzerland choose the longer route.
And the gap before between Emil Svensk and Gaute Hallensteva was 15 seconds, so let's see if he manages to get any closer here. I guess so.
And then you can sense with the chasing pack, once one person has made this decision, they're going to all go this same way. And this is the group going to the right of the line, all running closely together. You can see the Czech team towards the front of that group. Chinese team with Xiaoming Liang also doing well. And now let's have a look now when we see them at the actual control 15. So this is it, we're going to get the punch.
So again, the gap was 15 seconds before.
Now it's 16.
And the gap to Matthias Kiburz was 19 seconds before. So it's still the same gap here as it was at the arena passage.
So nothing in those two route choices, at least on this leg. No time gained or lost, pretty much. And now here's this big group with Kiburz, with Pezzati. Eric Voliskog is there, Roturier is there for the second French team, Max Petter-Bejmer, first finisher team. There is Miloš Nikodim for Czech Republic again, 50 seconds back in 11th place. So gained 3 places on this leg as it currently stands. But
exactly the same gap as it was before, so when it was well executed, but still 50 seconds, that's a lot. And if we look forward to the next leg, it will be interesting. We'll see Gustav Bergman for Sweden, we will see Joey Adorn for Switzerland, and we will see Kasper Fosser for Norway. I think it's the first time we see him in the sprint relay.
Yeah, I think so. As he ends his junior career, moves into the senior career.
It's one of the first times, so it will be interesting to see how he can do in this position.
So Emil Svensk here will hand over to Gustav Bergman. And then we have, in fact, Switzerland into second there. So Matthias Kiburz has managed to do something and hand over to Joey Hadorn. And in third, Gaute Hallensteva will hand over to Kasper Fosser.
And I'm sure that Gustav Bergman tries to push very hard in the beginning so that he can take the decision without Joey Hadorn seeing him. Many teams still close together. Norway 20 seconds behind them, Sweden 33.
Loads of runners together, all changing position. And we want to see the Czech Republic team, so in 12th place and 51 seconds behind. Let's still keep an eye on them. The New Zealand team is up there too. China won in 15th.
Heading out on the third leg for Czech Republic.
We had 16 teams within 1 minute.
The Russian team was right up there, but I'm surprised how far they've dropped down, to be honest. They were right in the kind of in around the front of the chasing group. And now let's have a look, and we can see that they've chosen those different routes. We're not sure on this graphic which one they've got, so we will wait and see that they punch it. But actually, yeah, it's the other way around to what they did on the previous leg, so that's what we would expect them to do. So it looks like they've both made the decision we'd expect. But now is this Gustav Bergman choosing to cut up and through this forest?
We haven't seen that before. I mean, the runnability there is quite okay. It's just that the control itself, of course, as I said before, you head into the forest. It's always special on a scale 1 to 4,000 to run in the forest. But I mean, he's such a good orienteer, he will handle that. And it's, let's see, might have, yeah, you see,
yeah.
that's the thing. I mean,
it's not as safe.
No, it's easier to run and take the path.
Yeah.
Both with direction and with the distance. Especially the distance is quite difficult in sprinting forest.
Was that looking like Casper Fosse managed to overtake Joey Haddon on this section? It's hard to tell, but actually Haddon is not going well.
No, he had the other control, the one here.
Yes. Oh, and Casper Fosse also making a mistake there. So the two of them both making a mistake on that same control, I think. You can see him coming up from below the control, and that is not what we'd expect them to do. So that looks like a mistake, and you can see in the right of picture, there's another group here coming towards this control. So now we can see, well, we don't have Switzerland on there at all, but Swedish team still with that lead, the gap. There's more runners in that chasing back around control 1 than is shown on the GPS tracking here. And we haven't got the Swiss tracker from Joey Haddon. Not on the picture there, but we should have seen them there there we go. Oh, and all change as Regborn and Kusendona going up into 2nd and 3rd place. Norway into 4th, and Haddon also joint time there, so dropping down as a result of the mistake at control number 1, I think. So that is pretty significant, but it looks like the leading Swedish team has a gap of 17 seconds to Sweden 2 and 3. Goodness me. It's only the top team per nation that counts in the World Cup standings, but still very interesting. Oh, and the controllers on the floor.
You have to say, very good start from the two Swedish teams with Martin Rekborn and Isak von Krusenstjerna. They were out 33 and 34 seconds behind. Now it's only 17 and 19 seconds. That's of course also due to this small mistake by Gustav Bergman. And then we have seen the mistake also from Joey Haddon on the first control.
So Gustav Bergman on his way on this kind of island section. Here are the two chasing teams. Two Swedish teams chasing, and couldn't see anyone behind them, so they will both change direction. Here's Joey Haddon, and no, he's in 5th, so we also have Casper Fosse in 4th, Joey Haddon in 5th. So they're current 2nd and 3rd place nations, because it's only the top team per nation to count on the results. Another Norwegian team still doing well. Emil Albeck is running 3rd leg from Norway too. And now this other group here. Have we seen the Czech team yet? Russia is in there. Some mixed teams too.
China was there. So we see here the tail is 30 seconds. Let's say the gap there around 20 seconds at the moment.
Varying techniques, I think, to get down these steps, but here's the leading team. Gustav Bergman is making light work of this palace area of the TV and movie town. And where are the next runners? Here we go. Here are the other two Swedish teams. And, oh, and I think Casper Fosse is managing to catch up. So this is impressive from the Norwegian and also from Joey Haddon. And are these two going to be able to catch up the spots, the places that they dropped as a result of early ones. We haven't seen many people go this way, I think, to the next few controls. But certainly these two really working hard to try and catch up the Swedish teams.
We've seen one of the Swedish runners choosing a different route there. Going more to the right. It's Isak von Krusenstjerna. I think he will lose a few seconds there.
And again, Gustav Bergman will, he's trying to go up there. You can't go up there.
No,
He will have to realize and change his plan.
Yeah, but everyone is doing the same.
Everyone's doing the same. But now they will be able to see, when they get to this this big square, they will see what's gone on with those in front of them, and they will be able to see, hopefully see something and get an indication of how well they're doing in the race, really where they need to attack. And then, so you can see them all punching this control here, and it's hard to see from this distance what is going on.
It's still the two Swedish teams, the second and third Swedish team, and Switzerland and Norway there.
Yeah, looks like the first Swedish team is still far enough ahead, and then they will have these other couple of controls, but then we still need to think about the forking and the different distances that they have to go for these controls. And of course, as we always say, it's only after all four runners have been out in the terrain that we really know, we really get the true indication of where everybody is, and when they will all have run the same distance. But here's the leading team, Gustav Bergman, punching that control, checking he's got the punch by putting the unit up to his ear. And here are the chasers, and now Kasper Fosse has made his move. He's leading these two other Swedish teams, and Joey Hadorn is at the back, currently in 5th spot. But it's the last part of this race is really suiting those really strong runners. So we'll see what happens by the time they manage to get to the finish. So they've punched this last control before this arena passage, and we will soon see the leaders. Here we go, Gustav Bergman in the lead currently through the arena passage, and here is Norway and Kasper Fosse. We know he's so strong at running, and he's managed to get not just overtake the other two Swedish runners, but get a gap. And we can see that Joey Hadorn is really working hard to get ahead of the two Swedes as they go to this control.
It will be interesting to see now how they will decide at the next route choice. There is for sure a chance to win or lose time there, depending on what the others in the group are deciding. Here from control 14 to 15, we know that the fastest route is the one to the left. Going up the stairs. So let's see. Yeah, Bergman is going the slightly slower option. So it's now depending on what the others are doing.
And in this point, is it better?
Hesitating, but they follow the same route, I guess.
At this point, do you think it's better to be chasing or be chased? Gustav Bergman, he's looking around. He can sense that someone's catching him up.
Well, it's definitely better to be chasing because usually you're faster. But I mean, if you look at the whole competition, it's better to be in the lead. So. But if you're chasing, I mean, you have someone to chase, and usually that's a good situation. You will be able to push a bit more than when you're running alone.
Oh, it looks like Joey Hadorn's managed to push to the front of this group now. It's almost like we've got a knockout sprint going on here, and two Swedes now going further back into 4th and 5th. So we can see, we haven't got Joey Haddon in picture. I wonder if he's going further around on the tracking, just as we catch up with his GPS. Let's have a look now. What is the gap? Gustav Bergman with punches control.
Together, I guess.
See, he will definitely know the gap, but they are pretty much together. Goodness me. So Joey Haddon 4 seconds behind. And now we have Norway, Kasper Fosse 9 seconds behind. Vegbon and von Krusenstjerna are both there too. So the top 5 within 11 seconds. And Bergman has allowed himself to be caught. Well, yeah, I'm not sure he's chosen to do it, but you know, he is being caught. So only a small section of running. They've all got the same controls here. So we'll see who has the power left at the end of this course, having run a very physically difficult hilly and steep and bushy middle distance yesterday.
Well, my guess is that they will come to the finish quite close to each other, and we'll see a big group together, more or less. At least, I mean, expect the gap to be that little that the women on the last leg will group together and see each other, and then it will be interesting to see what happens on the last leg. So here we have them. We know that we will have Caroline Olsson for the first Swedish team. On the last leg we will have Josefin Kärnlund for Sweden 3. We will have Sara Hagström for Sweden 2. And we will have Elena Roos for Switzerland. And for Norway, Andrine Benjaminsen. So I think it's quite a tight race here on the last leg. I expect all of them can do good in a sprint race, and all of them have quite an okay finish, I guess. Usually I would say that Caroline Olsson has the best finish, but she's had so many injuries, it's hard to say how her shape is at the moment. So I think it's more open now than it would have been at the World Championships or even at the World Cup in Finland before.
Yeah, well, Elena Roos was second in the sprint in Laufen and third in the knockout sprint. So you know she's got some good sprint form at the moment. Caroline Olsson wasn't at that competition because she was out injured. So yeah, it's a real unknown. But we saw at the end of the World Championships relay that Caroline Olsson was really able to push it and have that fight in her the whole way around. So top 7 teams in there too. The first French team there as well. The Czech team was about to hand over. They've got Tereziana Sikova on the last leg, but the gap is too much for even that strong runner to make up. And the New Zealand team also putting together a good quartet to be in that 12th position. Have we seen the Chinese team in there yet?
So we see that everyone decided well here. Good decision of all the teams. All the A teams are going the blue route, and Sweden too. It's kind of a tough situation for her to be all alone in this route there, but she decided well there, going to the B route, going to the north around the hill.
And the first controls for the women's is much more simple than it is for the men's. I don't think we're in any danger of any people making mistakes here, of losing time.
But I mean, even if the way to the control is like the distance is the same, of course to the next control, to the second control, it's the better option to have the 3 teams together have, because it's shorter, of course.
This looks like Sara Hagström for the second Swedish team. We see she was the one who took the other route round, and we can see nobody's following her at the moment.
I think the others are
in front of her. Now let's have a look at the live GPS tracking. We've got Norway going the other way to Sweden and to Switzerland.
We know that's a bit slower here.
And now you can see Eleanor Ross there and Caroline Olsen. The gap is 3 seconds. Benjaminsen, Antonia Benjaminsen into 3rd place. And we have Sarah Hagström and Josephine Tjernlund in 4th and 5th. 10 seconds is still not very much at this early part. And bearing in mind, we've got still have all the rest of the forkings to unravel and for them to all have run the same distance. So those 5 teams are significantly ahead of the rest of the field, and it's still too close to call it. You can see all their trackings as they go around with most of them. Switzerland does, and Sweden 3 have the D forking, the other 3 teams have the C forking, and they will group back up here at the 4th and then the 5th controls before some more forked controls again. I'm sure we will see them as they head into the palace with those forked controls, the 6th and 7th controls. And back here, this is the Czech team. Jana Sikova is currently 8th position for her.
So that's a replay. We see that the Swedish second team, Sarah Hagström, had the only one having this B option. And I mean, she doesn't lose time to the first control. I think it's mostly that the first control is located further away from the second control. So they're tough start for her, but of course on the first leg they had it the other way around. Usually it is an advantage to have the longer option on the first leg compared to the last leg. There, another option. So we know that there's forkings here.
But I think they either have one of the two controls in here, but I think others behind have made mistakes too. Some people not going up into this temple. Yeah, you can see the Swedish and Norwegian teams all up there as well. It's hard to make sense of this, but we will be able to see as they get to the 8th control, and this one's caused some problems with understanding that you can't go up onto the raised platform round about the circle. You either have to go to the stairs a lot further south of the control or past the control and then turn back on yourself. And I think we've seen, it's hard to tell, but I think there were some mistakes in that section, because they should all have gone into the palace. I think we saw, Caroline Olsen like pass the steps and then have to turn round and go back, but it's really hard to tell. What we can say is Eleanor Ross is going the correct way, or what we think is the correct way, up the stairs to control number 8.
And it's a bit tricky here to read because the GPS definitely is lacking a bit, so the gap might not be as big as it seems here, but I'm sure there is a small gap now. See here, Sweden is coming closer again. Swedish second team, Sarah Hagström. And another mistake there by the Swedish third team, that's Josephine Tjernlund. I think she was on the way to the stairs.
Yeah, and then changed.
Noticed.
Yeah.
Actually, from that point there, it wouldn't really...
Yeah, I feel like you could have gone, just kept going on that same decision, because it's that side of the bridge over between the different platforms.
But it shows you that she was not really ahead in her map reading. She had some problems there. Of course, this is a very tricky area, and here I think there's another mistake now.
Yes, that's definitely a mistake there. Now let's have, we've seen Eleanor Ross there through, that's the control, and now we've got to wait to see where the others are, and that's quite significant, I think. oh, the time is ticking by. Who's going to be the next one to be at this control? Well, I think we've seen mistakes all over the place from these women, and this has really been significant. We saw a mistake from Eleanor Ross, but only a very small one. We saw her pass at control, only a few seconds lost there, but more significant mistakes from the others, and they're still not at this control. They're not at this 9th control.
I mean, the situation for the runners here on this last leg is different to the one in the beginning. You have a lot more pressure, and then it's hard in this stressful situation to see the different options and to act as you would normally.
So we saw Sara Hagström for Sweden 2, then Josephine Scherlund for Sweden 3, and then Andrine Benny-Minsen for Norway. Where is Caroline Olsen? I have no idea, but we will soon be seeing the leaders through the arena, and then hopefully we can get a better indication of exactly what has gone on. But it looks like Eleanor Ross from Switzerland currently that good, and in fact look, she's already gone through here. We've totally missed her. She's so far ahead, and the seconds are building and building, and this is looking to see if Switzerland can get their one relay win and disrupt Sweden from getting the full house. This is Sara Hagström, it looks like. It's and Josephine Scherlund in the blue band, and then we also have Andrine Benny-Minsen into 4th place. So not sure what's happened to Caroline Olsen. Questions about her physical shape, but this is surprising for her to have lost that much time. The fact that she's not even through this control yet, but 41 seconds lead for Eleanor Ross is just pretty amazing. Let's see if we can see what happened.
Yeah, so let's take a look
Follow
at
the yellow dot.
Exactly, Sweden 1 there is Caroline Olsen. We can also take a look at Eleanor Ross. She had some hesitation there at control F at the forking, but otherwise she went well here in this middle part. So let's see now. Here they're still together, and my guess is that she missed the stairs here in the beginning. Yes, turning here, that was the first mistake. There has to be something else, because we have seen the mistake by Eleanor Roos as well.
Oh, she just missed the control. Kept going.
And had to turn again for it. Yes.
Ah, that is the mistake.
And then she missed the exit there again, so 3 mistakes here within just a few seconds.
And
then
that
another
mistake,
one.
4 mistakes.
I mean, once you get into this bad habit and you're, as I said earlier, when you're not ahead with your map reading, then it's very easy in a sprint to never really catch up again and always be some seconds behind, and then you start losing time and doing mistakes all the time, and you never really get the chance to get back.
So now following the leader, Eleanor Ross, and you can say she's taken the right-hand decision to this control. We don't think it was the quickest of the 2 options, but I think it's going to be, there's not enough in it, and she's now just trying to keep the orienteering simple, trying to keep the speed. She won't know what's gone on behind her, and maybe as she punches the next control, she'll see if she has a gap over the rest of the field. And this is the control 13, where we get the next time check, as one of the other runners punches that one first. Here is the leader, Eleanor Ross, 2 medals from sprint races in the World Cup this year, from the knockout sprint and the classic sprint as well on home soil. And now we can have more of a closer look at the GPS and see the gap, and as Eleanor Ross will make her way back towards the arena, she may get some indication of where the others are. She'll have no idea what's gone on behind her, but maybe, yeah, she'll know there's no one around her, and then you've got to think about getting it all the way home. And we see here Norway and Sweden 3 with Josephine Scherlund. And they are going through this section of park, but you can see Sara Hagström ahead of the 2 runners there. Here she is, and the gap now is 46 seconds. So they are, in fact, they are still running slower than Eleanor Ross. She is running quicker than all of them if we compare to the previous split. Is managing to get gaps on this section. So So here is the second last control, and it is a big lead for the Swiss team here. As we can see, some of the others still got the last few controls to go, but for Elena Ross, the gap is big. She managed to minimize the mistakes in the tricky section of the course, and it was great to see that she was able to keep her head in this point where people were running. She's still looking behind her to see if anybody is behind her, but the gap is significant. So the team of Simona Abbasol, Matthias Kiberts, Joey Hadon and Elena Ross, they can all join together, the quartets, to cross the line and take their first relay win and only relay win of 2019.
And I would say she really was the key player here in this winning team. We noticed that the situation got very stressful there in this middle section where we have seen Sweden losing this relay. And she, of course, she did a small mistake there, but she got back on it and did no further mistakes. And that was the key here, and she did that very well on this last leg. And yeah, in the end it was well deserved.
A good finish here from Sara Hagström to be the Swedish team that will count. Sweden 2, Alva Olsen, Max Betterbein, Martin Regborn and Sara Hagström crossing the line next. It looks like we've got Norway with Victoria Hestad Björnsen, Gab Hallensteva, Kasper Fossa and Andrina Benjaminsen. Sweden 3 finish in 4th, so we've got the top 3 nations in, and now more teams here to cross the line. And we're looking for, here we go, the top Finnish team will be in the 4th position in terms of nations, and we have 2 more Swiss teams, 2 and 3. Here's Caroline Olsen, a disappointing run for her with about 4 mistakes in a row, just costing her a lot of time. And Teresa Sikova managing to, I think, catch up possibly a few positions. A strong run from her in the final stages. We also have, this looks like the second Norwegian team, Norway 2, Ingeborg Eider on the last leg, and the Chinese team are coming into the finish. Shuang Yanhao is on the last leg for China. And we know she's a very strong runner, competed at the Olympics, had a couple of years out of orienteering for maternity leave, and fantastic run on the last leg, which we really will be one to watch out for in the sprint on Tuesday, I'm sure.
And it's almost as usual. We see many second and third teams from the 2 nations, Switzerland and Sweden, here in the top. It just shows what a depth they have in the team.
And at the finish, a big sprint out. We're just looking at the Swiss team here. Here we go. There's a big sprint out with the Austrian team, the French team, I think, in there as well, Norwegian team. And it's good that they were, there's about 5 or 6 women all together going there. Can we, got any news of who crossed the line first? No. Anyway, let's have a quick look at these standings at the finish with those, and actually, you look at those top 10 teams with 137, that's pretty close for a sprint relay, actually. Yes, a big gap in the lead for Switzerland 1. But yeah, you said again, 3 Swedish teams in the top 10, 3 Swiss teams in the top 10, 2 Norwegian teams in the top 10, and the Czech Republic sneaking in there too. And you can see there were some of the sprint outs there. I think Norway 4, just beating Finland 2, Norway 3 in there as well. France missing out on that sprint finish. You can see all very close, within 3 seconds of each other.
And in England it was quite a tight race, unusually tight, especially the situation when 4 or 5 teams are heading out, 5 teams there were, heading out together more or less on the last leg. We don't see that often, and I think that's only also the reason why we have seen so many mistakes in this middle part. The runners, there's a lot of pressure on them, and they're not so used to that situation. And there's a lot of forkings in here. There was many decisions to take, and a very stressful situation. And here we have it again on the GPS. The situation here on the last leg, and here we already see the small gap of Elena Roos, but still all the teams more or less together, also the Swedish team there. with Karin Olsson. And now we start to see the mistakes from almost all the teams, also from Switzerland. Elena Roos there at the first of the controls in this building complex, but already here she has a gap. She was the one getting through this area with
Some other finishes also here.
the least mistakes here.
Just in front of Johanna Öberg for Sweden.
You see here another mistake by the second Swedish team, Sara Hagström.
And another Chinese team also heading into the finish. Great to
the
see.
exit.
And here's some GPS animation also from the last leg.
And again a mistake there by the first Swedish team. Of the day of Karin Olsson here, definitely.
Switzerland.
Here we see also that, of course, the GPS of the Norwegian team lost contact there. She didn't run in this area. So here we had the fight for the second and third place. Again here, Swedish GPS lost contact.
Sari Anton also heading into the finish in the mixed team, Finland, USA. Anton Salmekylä there in the finish.
But as mentioned earlier, the race was decided in this middle section.
Chinese team also heading into
There
the
have
finish.
been many mistakes here on the last leg. So now we will hear an interview with the winners of today's sprint relay, the Swiss team.
In a good contention at the start on first leg. How did you find the terrain in the course?
Yeah, it was a really nice start. It was a long leg and I had time to plan almost the whole course. Yeah, after that it went a bit trickier and yeah, it was really cool, but then I had a longer forking and everyone passed me and I managed to catch up to them again and yeah, in the end it was a really good feeling to come back in second place.
And Matthias, you handed over to you in second place. I suppose your job is just keep the team in contention.
Yeah, of course I wanted to be in real contention, so the gap was a bit too big for me at the end. But mainly it happened already after the first control when I came out of the forest. So yeah, I was all the time a bit under pressure during the race, and yeah, it was a bit shaky race in the beginning, but at the end it was okay, and I think I knew I had two strong team members, so it was okay with this race. Yeah.
And then Joey, a new addition to the first team for Switzerland, and we saw you really having to fight back some places after mistakes the first control.
Yeah, it's right. The first control I did mistakes and then I had some trouble, some hesitation. But afterwards I found it to the race and I could actually on the last loop push really hard and catch up a bit time. At the end I had a bit longer forking, so I didn't manage to catch up really on top to give Elena for first. But now we are really happy that we made it also with this to the victory.
And then Elena, a fantastic last leg. We saw you make a small mistake, but lots of people making mistakes behind you. How were you able to keep your cool, keep focused?
Yeah, I had a good start. I felt really well physically and I could already take the lead at the first control and that gave me motivation. And then, like Simona said, she had the longer forking, so I had the shorter forking and I used that and so I could make a gap. Actually, I didn't saw the others, so I wasn't sure where I was. But when I heard that I'm in the lead, that was just a big motivation. And yeah, I did a small mistake because I was reading to the next control, but luckily I realized it in time.
And finally, Matthias, what's it like to deprive the Swedish team of a clean sweep of relay victories this year?
Yeah, of course, it's nice. We were battling hard the whole season. In Finland we were close at World Champs. The women's were close again. The men's had some trouble. So yeah, it's good sign from the Swiss team now at the end that we were the strongest today.
Well, congratulations all four of you today on your win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, to the flower for a quick here and then to the flower ceremony, please.
So those are the final results here. Team Switzerland again. The streak is continuing. continuing. We had in the last 2 seasons, we had Switzerland, Sweden, Switzerland, Sweden, Switzerland now. Second place to the Sweden, the second team, and third place to Norway, 45 seconds behind. It was a very tight race overall. We have the top 10 within 1 minute and 37 seconds. So many, as mentioned before, many second and third teams here in the top 10. Also, a kind of a surprise here, very well raced by the Chinese team, ending up on 12th position. Only 1 minute and 52 seconds behind. As you mentioned earlier, Catherine, it's looking good for the sprint there.
Yeah, I think it'll be really exciting to see what they can do on an individual basis in the sprint, in very small alleyways and everything that we're going to see there. We know that particularly the Chinese last leg runner is very, very quick. A lot of the athletes have been talking about how fast she is, and we saw her as well at the middle distance, the first part of the course, really, really attacking that. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see what can happen. But now we see what those results have done to the points scores. For
not really much.
not much. Were Finland always in third? Have they? No, well they came. No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think there's any.
Well, Norway has come a bit closer, but they couldn't pass Finland there.
No. So as we would expect, Sweden winning 3 out of 4 of the relays this year. And you know, the gap over Switzerland is huge, and the gap again back to the Czech Republic in with those 200 points. Only a short way actually behind both Norway and Finland is pretty impressive. Yeah. So that's what it's done to those relay World Cup scores at the end of this 2019 season, with the 4 relays that have counted this year. Only one more race to go, of course, in the World Cup, the individual World Cup this time, with the sprint, which will be taking place on Tuesday. But yeah, I was surprised how close it was. I mean, I was hoping we wouldn't have a case in Finland where the Swedish team is pretty much kind of running away from a lot of the others. So it was exciting to see it being so close and see people change positions, and also I think on the last leg to see the ones with the best orienteering being able to really minimize the mistakes, keep good orienteering, keep good focus, as being those who managed to profit in the end.
Yeah, that's Elena who said. Usually it's a good sign if you don't know where you are in the competition, because that means that you're very focused on your own race. And she said that she didn't really see the others or didn't really get the situation in the race there, and it was very tricky there. We knew that beforehand. It was quite easy to point out that this could be the decisive part of the race. Generally, I think the courses were well suited for a sprint relay. I like it when there's a long leg in the beginning where you have to take a quick decision, and it's I mean, you get punished for not choosing the right route and just following the others. And I think it was a good sprint relay, and there were many teams very close today. In the end, it was decided on the very last leg, and there we had Elena who was making the difference more or less. For Sweden, it didn't really go they didn't really go the whole way. Caroline Olsson didn't have her best day. You could feel it after the first mistake. She kind of lost focus. That's at least the feeling. It might also be something connected to that, you know, you're not in the best shape of your life, and you're running against the runners who are in very good shape, and then it's easily happens that you're just a bit behind.
You're pushing yourself, and you go beyond the line, and you're into the red.
Yeah, without really noticing it. I mean,
yeah.
It's a very fine line, and that's the difficulty in orienteering, finding the line. Sometimes you can go over it, but then in the right time, in this race here, the right time would have been before this tricky part in the middle. You have to see that the tricky part is coming and maybe take out some speed. And my guess was actually that Elena Roos took out some speed there. I mean, we saw her hesitating. She was not pushing very, very hard in that part, but still she kept the orienteering together, and that was very decisive today.
Right, we are ready now for the flower ceremony. And the third place team is the team from Norway. Victoria Hesse Bjørnstad, Gaute Hallenstad, Kasper Fosse and Andrine Bech-Minsen.
And that's a good sign here. It's a young team, the Norwegian team.
And this looks like, goodness me, an injury for Martin Legborn, as the second place is the team from Sweden. We've got the first team, the second team, Alba Olsen, Max Petterdema, Martin Legborn and Sara Hagström. But the winners today, Simona Abersold, Mattias Kibert, Joey Hadon and Eleanor Roos will take the top of the podium after a fantastic last leg from Eleanor Roos, I must say. But all the other runners before her kept them in contention. I mean, they were jumping around to bits, but like never too far off.
In other races, it could have been over.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had now, it was like the situation that Gustav Bergman was chased by 3 or 4 teams. It's difficult to keep the lead if you're one runner against 4. Yeah. The situation was, luckily enough for the Swiss team today, the one that they could get in contention again in the very end. But of course, if we have to pick out an MVP here, it's definitely Eleanor Roos.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, on the other hand, it's very important to be there after the first leg, and we had both Tove Alexandersson doing a great job on the first leg. Also, Simona Abersold did a good job. Victoria Hesse Bjørnstad for Norway did a great job. Also there, Kasper Fosse, the other youngster, did a great job. It's quite a young team for Norway, and I think they are getting closer in sprint, and especially the sprint relay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Norwegian team, Victoria Hesse Bjørnstad and Kasper Fosse, this 2019 was their last year as juniors. They will make they will transition to the senior class, so a very young team, and they really are a nation that's actually starting to specialise in terms of forest orienteering and sprint orienteering. And I think their third place today is an indication of that. So the fact that they are specialising. They've got a lot of their top runners in theory are not here this weekend.
And another runner we could highlight here who made a very good progress during the last years. Not really the one going up too much and down too much, but Max Petterdema is coming closer and closer. He did a good race yesterday. Now he's in the team, ending up in the top 3. I mean, it's not the one. He's not an up and down runner, but he's getting closer and closer.
Yes, well, very exciting. So the athletes will take a well-earned rest tomorrow before heading to Songklang Village on Tuesday for the final event of the individual World Cup, the sprint. Myself and Jonas will be there to take you through all the action. So we will see you on Tuesday.
See you.